It is often said that water is maybe the most precious substance known to living things on planet Earth. Yet, it is the least appreciated. While no life can exist without the presence of water, many human beings do not recognize how important water can be in our everyday lives. Here in Dominica, we have been blessed with an abundance of fresh water flowing through streams, waterfalls, lakes, and other waterways. But most of our fresh water originates from the forest floor, or where we refer to as catchment areas. These catchment areas are critical for the quality and quantity of fresh water which is available to us. People living in various communities around Dominica take it for granted that we can turn on the tap at any time and gain access to drinking water without even thinking of where it comes from and the effort it takes to get the water to our homes for our daily use.
Getting water to the customers in Dominica is not an easy task. It is something that we've tried to impress upon our customers all the time, that we have a lot to go through to bring water from the rivers to them. Now, from time to time, we hear people say that we have 365 rivers. In fact, in one community some time ago, the people in the community say, well, Mr. Etnoff, all we need is a river. Just give us one river in the community and we'll be okay. Now, I would have liked to do that for every community in Dominica, but it's not just as easy as that. Getting water from the springs to our homes is very involved. It involves a number of things. We first have to get our engineers or operations people to determine where on the river or on the stream, what elevation, what protected area is best suitable for bringing that water down. Because clearly we are not going to take water as a responsible utility company. We are not going to take water from, say, the Roseau River Bridge.
Let's take a journey to find out exactly how water travels from the catchment areas deep inside the rainforest to get to our homes so we can enjoy clean and clear drinking water no matter the time of day or night. Many countries around the world do not enjoy the privilege of having safe drinking water. The United Nations reports that over 2 billion people around the world do not have access to safe drinking water. But in the Nature Island, we have more than enough safe drinking water for all Dominicans and our visitors to enjoy. As a matter of fact, Dominica's fresh water resource is among the highest quality in the Caribbean. But we must all play our part in ensuring that the quality and quantity of our water remains available for future generations.
We want to bring a quality of water to people that is acceptable, that satisfies not just the World Health Organization standards, but even exceed those standards, because we are known in Dominica for having a good quality raw water. And so we go where there's no agriculture, where deforestation is at a minimum on nil, if possible. And now we are even seeking areas where the rock formation is of such an age that there is less possibility of turbidity as we see happening right now. So we go higher and higher into virgin forests, into hard rock formation, where we can really get good quality water to bring to our people. So with minimal treatment, and I say minimal treatment, we can bring that water to people's homes on a reliable basis, and a quality that exceeds the World Health Organization standards. And we at DOWASCO, we are proud of that, because we have been consistently providing that quality of water, barring the interruptions from adverse weather conditions and storms such as Tropical Storm Erica, and with climate change, impact the sort of effect that we are seeing now, which we are strategizing to overcome anyway, because we recognize that water is important to our people, water is life, and we'll take every step, every measure to ensure that what we deliver to the people is of top quality. And in addition to that, we'll try to communicate and to interact with our people on a regular basis to determine whatever is going wrong and to fix it. We have started a series of meetings, and we're going to continue to do that.
In Dominica, DOWASCO is mandated to supply potable water to the entire population. DOWASCO uses surface water to supply the country, so that is why our rivers and lakes are so important to the process of supplying water. Water is extracted from some of our main rivers around the island through intakes built especially for that purpose, and it is then channeled to reservoirs like the Earth tank, where it undergoes a process of treatment before it is distributed. Most of Dominica's drinking water comes from protected catchments. Many of these protected catchments are located in the national parks and state forests where public access is limited. They were set aside exclusively for harvesting water many years ago and have remained largely undisturbed since. Deep soils in these forests act like sponges to hold rainwater, then filter and slowly releases it into springs, streams, creeks, and rivers. These in turn feed the reservoirs that store our drinking water. Long storage times in our reservoirs are an important part of the filtering process, such as impurities break down over time. Because the source water from protected catchments is of a high quality and rests for long periods in the reservoirs, it requires very little treatment. However, when water flows over the land in the water catchment areas and in the rivers and streams, it can pick up contaminants known as pathogens which could make us sick. Human activities such as farming and recreation in water catchment areas can cause some level of contamination. Besides human activity, there are many other items such as pesticides, fuel, oil, septic tanks, fertilizers, and animal waste which can contaminate catchment areas. In an effort to prevent such contaminations, water catchment areas are protected by law, and activities in these areas must be restricted to ensure that raw water quality remains free from major pollutants. Dominica has some of the highest quality drinking water in the world, which we test regularly to ensure it meets strict water quality requirements. We look at the health-related aspects of water quality as well as other factors like color, taste, and smell. All the water we supply, regardless of its source, must meet strict water quality requirements.
At DOWASCO, our treatment process includes sedimentation and chlorination mainly. And that is because of the quality of the water that we have, the raw water, that it doesn't need much more than the processes that we use presently. WHO, World Health Organization standards for turbidity is 5 NTUs maximum. And usually our water quality is much better than 5 without any treatment. So that is why we don't really need anything more than what we do presently. And most of our rivers, the water quality is the same.
To make sure our water meets the requirements, we use our own independently certified system for managing quality. These include ISO 9001 and the HACCP, which is Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point System, both used in organizations worldwide, including food and pharmaceutical industries. DOWASCO works closely with the Environmental Health Department to ensure that the water we consume is fit for drinking and meets World Health Organization standards. Random testing of the water supplied to various communities around the island is conducted by both DOWASCO and the Environmental Health Department every week. The tests will look for issues related to water treatment in regards to the level of bacteria contained in the water, temperature, pH levels, conductivity, and turbidity. The process of treating water involves the removal of contaminants from the water by various means. All of the water supplied by DOWASCO is disinfected using chlorine. This method is used all over the world to protect our health and prevent diseases. It is important that sufficient disinfection levels are maintained in our drinking water at all times, and this is tested throughout the journey from catchment to consumption. DOWASCO in the last few years installed the antrim water treatment plants to help remove contaminants from the water and to ensure that the water which arrives to your home is clean and safe to drink.
At Antrim, we have our treatment plant, which includes sedimentation, a sedimentation tank, and chlorination. We use gas cylinders, gas chlorination at Antrim. And that is identical to what we use in most of our other systems. A few of them we use the chlorination tablets. So what we're going to talk about today is how we treat water at Antrim, which would represent typically how we treat water all over the island. From the river, the water comes, well, we catch the water at our intake. And from the intake, it goes to our sedimentation tank. And a sedimentation tank really is a very long tank that collects raw water. And what it does is that the heavier particles, like bits of sticks and small rocks, and so that comes in with the water, because of the length of time it has to travel through the tank, it is allowed to settle before it reaches the outlet. So it would enter at one point and it would travel through the length of the tank, dropping down as it goes. So most of the times, like most of the particles would reach, the bottom of the tank before they reach the outlet. And that is really what sedimentation is. So that would really take care of most of our raw water problems, which will be bits of sticks, some sand or so, sediments coming down in our catchment. From there, it goes to our gas chlorinator, where it is chlorinated before it goes to the rest of the system. The gas chlorinator, or chlorination on a whole, is the most popular treatment process used worldwide. And treatment of the water is critical because while someone might say they do not want chlorinated water, but because we are supplying thousands of people, we must ensure that the water is safe to drink. And that is where chlorination comes in. So the water, after it leaves our sedimentation tank, it is chlorinated using gas chlorination. Gas chlorination is one of the purest forms of chlorine, and it is one of the most economical ways of treating water. So from gas chlorination, then it goes down to distribution to our different storage tanks. So typically, that is what happens in any of our water systems. Now we know we get a lot of questions about chlorine, and we have a lot of concerns about chlorine. But I would like to let the people know that chlorination is not a dangerous thing. When you are skilled in using chlorine, it will not be dangerous to even you using it because you know how to deal with chlorine. Now, people sometimes have the notion that the white stuff you see in water is chlorine. But the question about that is, if you allow your glass of water that you draw, if you allow it to settle for less than a minute, then it clears out. Does that mean that your water has no chlorine after 1 minute? No, there's still chlorine in the water. So that means the white that you see in water is not chlorine. It's actually air that gets mixed into the water when the water is traveling through the pipeline. Typical example, you look at a river and you see at certain points that the water, it goes down under some rocks or it goes over a rock and then it spills over. And that forms some bubbles when it comes back up. That is because it mixes air into the water as it splashes down. And that is the same thing that happens in a pipeline. As the water goes left and right, passes through a valve, passes through a bend, goes down the hill, it goes back up, then, there's air mixing with the water. And when it comes out from your tap, then those air bubbles, they tend to rise up. And that is why you see the white forming in your glass, and then it goes up to the top and your water clears up. So the white in your water is not chlorine causing it to be white.
After the water is treated, it is ready to begin the final part of the journey to your community. The first part of this process involves water passing through large pipes to smaller storage tanks. This holds water for a few days to ensure a constant water supply even when demand is high.
So going forward, what we really want our customers to understand is what is involved, what it takes to bring water to them. The building of the intakes miles away sometimes, and that alone is a costly exercise. Bringing pipes down to various areas where we have storage tanks, where we have treatment facilities, and then piping the water from those areas to our homes through distribution lines. Now, this involves the treatment of water with chlorination. That's the basic treatment that we do right now, which is a minimum according to the World Health Organization standards. They would require, in some countries, a lot more than that be done to the water. So there is need sometimes for several different treatments, including the final treatment of chlorination, before water can be distributed or characterized as potable water, drinking water for our people. In Dominica, we don't have those problems, you know. We have a good quality raw water, so we give the minimum chlorine treatment to satisfy the World Health Organization standards and to ensure that people don't take in bacteria as a result of consuming water from the DOWASCO. So it is a matter of constructing the intake. Most times we have to engage contractors in that, running the pipelines, and I must say, to get access to the intake sometimes, what we find ourselves doing is building roads. You know, we have to construct miles of roads sometimes, which costs millions of dollars sometimes, just to get to the intake, and so that our crews, our men can access the intake for maintenance purposes afterwards. Storage tanks, if we were to take water just from the stream through the distribution line and to our homes, every time it rains, simple, what we call small rainfalls maybe, we would have to shut the system down. So we have to do storage facilities, storage tanks, to at least hold some water so that when it rains, the river get brown, because we depend on river water, surface water. Streams are rivers, very few springs. So when it rains, the rivers get brown, we would have to simply shut all systems down. But because we have storage tanks, storage capacity, not adequate, but we do have some, that is why we can continue to supply water even while it rains. For example, Saturday last, it rained the entire day and Roseau had water for the entire day. The river was brown, totally out. But because of our storage capacity in the area, we were able to supply water to the Roseau and environs for the entire Saturday when we had all the torrential rainfalls. So it's something that we want our customers to understand. It's not a simple task. We at DOWASCO would like to ensure that there is no interruption. The more water you consume, the more money we can make, right? So we don't want water interruptions. But these are acts of God. These are natural phenomena that we just have to deal with and to work with. And as we go along, to build resilience so that even when they occur, we can still continue to supply.
From our storage tanks, water flows through smaller pipes to our customers. There are about 2.6 million feet of pipeline that carry the water in a web-like network to every home, school, and business across Dominica.
Yes, over.